Sometimes the hardest workers do not shine on standardized tests. Born a dyslexic, I have always processed information differently than the students around me. Because of the way we process information, students like me are able to rise to high levels of excellence in the classroom, but may not shine on standardized tests. Maybe this is because students like me are not standardized. According to the article, High Stakes Standardized Testing in Marginalized Youth, an examination of the impact on those who fail by Laura Lee Kearns, published in 2011 by the Canadian Journal of Education, students taking a form of standardized tests in Canada felt that, quote, standardized tests brought about a real sense that there was a lack of care and concern for their well-being and that of their peers, end quote. Because of the way they are designed, standardized test scores do not display enough vital aspects of students' achievement. So, if performed correctly, the problems with the test can be reduced. The main problem with standardized tests is that they do not represent enough vital aspects of students' achievement. Derek Meter's article explaining the pros and cons of standardized testing, which was published in 2011 by ThoughtCo, explained that students who perform extremely well in the classroom may not shine on standardized testing because the tests, quote, don't allow for personal factors to be taken into consideration, end quote. The article titled Standardized Tests Do Not Effectively Measure Students' Achievement by Philip Harris and Bruce Smith, published in 2012, explained that there are so many aspects of students that are not tested on standardized tests. Important aspects of studentship that were mentioned in this article were aspects such as creativity, enthusiasm, endurance, self-discipline, a sense of wonder, a sense of beauty, honesty, and integrity. These are all aspects that are so important for a well-rounded student. This same article goes on to argue that while not testing so many important aspects of students, these tests are, quote, rewarding shallow thinking, end quote. You may ask, what is the cause for all of these horrible problems in the testing system? The main cause for the standardized test problem is the test design themselves and how the tests are weighted in the public school system. The article titled From No Child Left Behind to Every Student Succeeds, Back to the Future of Federalism in Education by Michael Hayes and published in 2017 explained how through the No Child Left Behind Act, the government put pressure on students' standardized test scores. This pressure comes from the fact that standardized test scores directly relate to school funding. In their article, Philip Harris and Bruce Smith explain how standardized tests are designed in a way that causes students to, quote, use superficial thinking. The tests design in a way that students, quote, are able to seek the quick, easy, and obvious answer, end quote. If they do that, then they will prosper. Derek Meter makes it clear in his article that because test scores are so heavily weighted and have such a direct correlation to school funding, teachers have to spend a large amount of time ensuring that students are prepared for standardized tests. But is how to take a standardized test really what we want our students learning at school? You may think that these problems and the causes of them are irreversible and that there's nothing you can do about it. Well, that is a wrong view. The solution to the standardized test problem is test reform and weighting these tests less. The article, What Does Research Say About Testing? By Carly Berwick, published by the George Lucas Educational Foundation in 2019, gave some examples of tests that do benefit students. Their article explained how standardized tests are designed with an extensive amount of questions that require little thought. These tests are given in short amounts of time. Berwick argues that tests with thought-provoking questions in smaller amounts of time with plenty of time to answer all of the questions are more beneficial to students. As I stated earlier, Michael Hayes explained how heavily weighted standardized tests are. After test design is reformed, tests should still not be the only thing defining a student's achievement. A student's GPA and class participation should also be weighted in evaluation of a student to give them a more inclusive evaluation. While standardized tests may have flaws, they have the potential, as Derek Meter puts it, to be beneficial. Because they are standardized, they allow for there to be, quote, comparison, end quote. This is necessary in a school system of our size. The problem with standardized tests is that they do not represent enough vital aspects of students' achievement. The cause for the standardized test problem is the test design itself and how the test scores are weighted in the U.S. school system. The solution to the standardized test problem is test reform and assigning less weight to these tests. Some of the brightest students, some of the hardest workers, and most creative children are not shining on standardized tests. I challenge you to do what you can to stand up for the students who are being misrepresented by the standardized testing system. Thank you very much.